Now you've got to pay attention for this one, because part of this crawler has been in development for over 240 years. Check it out. And of course I'm referring to the Cross RC EMO X. This is a 1/8 scale beauty, and I will say from the outset that although it's a familiar looking body with familiar styling and cues and whatnot, there's no licensing on this thing apart from Cross RC's own Talon tires. Be aware of that. Now we've got also some really fun little squiggly mirrors. There's a lot to show you on this. Let me take you through it. So being that this is a 1/8 scale machine, it is definitely larger than the 1/10 scale cars that we're used to seeing. Have a look at this photo. It's the same size as the Red Cat Marksman, which is also a 1/8 scale machine. But what they don't have in common is the tricky stuff underneath. This is an interesting machine for a few reasons. I'll get to that 240-year bit in a minute. Straight off the bat, the main two things to know about this car that make it special: 2-speed transmission, lockable front and rear portals. There's also a trick light system on this thing with a bunch of different settings. All up with a nice interior, 3 different colors to choose from, and the rock solid engineering that I am well familiar with from Cross RC. I'm very excited about this car. I'm enthusiastic to get it on the trails and see what we can see. Now, there's a lot on the body to take notice of here. There's plastic molded bits all over it. Even the front grille, that's metal. It's just beautiful. I see some really nice LEDs in here with a couple of settings, and even the angel eye kind of ring thing going on there. Full size spare. They're not vented, I don't think. No, they're not. So they're bead locked to these plastic EMO X branded wheels. Cross really does like to do stuff in-house. Even their aluminium full body suspension is EMO X branded. Oil filled, lovely and soft, slow movement. So the polycarbonate bed is finished in matte black as well. This is very nice. It has all the usual accoutrements you would expect on a crawler. You've got adjustable bumpers so that you can put different bodies on. One other thing I quite like about this is the sliders don't have any kind of channeling. The body just kind of sits over the sliders, which makes putting it on and pulling it off just so much more easy than certain other brands. In fact, for my SCX6, that's one of my least favorite things. Getting that body on again, oh, it can be frustrating. Another thing I like about the way Cross RC does stuff is their diff lock system. Although this diff lock system is a bit different. They've got a mechanical setup here with it's kind of hard to show you here, but there's a grub screw on the cable, and you can adjust how much tensioning goes into it, so that for front and rear servos, even if you change the radio, you just use 100% endpoint, which means unadjusted from stock, for each end of your channels, so that you never have to worry about burning out the servo. If it's not actuating properly, you just undo the grub screw and pull a little bit more cable through, or push some in until you get the right activation point, and then tighten it up with a bit of thread lock and you're done. That's really cool. I have a Cross RC BC8 Mammoth, among many others, and that thing came with a really hefty light control module that also did a few other things. Looking through here, I can see, I don't know if you can see that, there's a board in there that is covered in conformal coating, which is like a waterproofing coating. That's your light control board, and there are a couple of spare, it says top 1 and top 2, probably for spotlights. I see some holes here. So there are some spare points here for you to mount yet more lights to this thing if you like. It's very good. The way the body attaches and detaches is actually really similar to how others do it. I just had the RGT Rescuer out today as well, and that came off in exactly the same way. We'll get to that in a sec. We might go back to the bench for that, but the cable management here is quite good. You see that? Also note that there are PC boards behind these lights, which also tells me that you're going to get some tricky lighting. Oh, I can't wait to fire this up. I can see I can see at least 11 surface mounted LEDs in each of the rears there. This is going to be fun. Plastic steering wheel. You can actually see through into the cab. This is very good. The other nice thing about this, even with the spare wheel on it, it really doesn't weigh much at all. That's a big fat plus. Let's go back to the bench and I'll show you the chassis. Now I have a lot of Cross RC vehicles. I've been playing with their models for some years now. One thing they're never afraid to do is run their own electronics. And they don't use the same stuff. It's like everyone else seems to pick from the same shelves. This is a 25 turn 560. 540, 550, 560. The bigger numbers just denote the longer can, and the 5 is the diameter. So it's a 50 size and 60 mil length. Longer length means greater rotational mass inside. It means lower current draw, better torque characteristic, but lower power, which means lower explosive power. Let's say you'll have a more gentle acceleration, but once it's running, it runs well. This is probably very thoughtfully matched, knowing Cross RC. This is a Hobbywing 880, I think, ESC. Does it say it? It's Cross RC branded. Let's have a look here. Yeah, it's a there you go, it's a WP 880. Thought it was. This is a dual motor design, but it's just running the one motor. So it's honestly ample. They didn't need to use the 880, but it's what they've done. Nothing wrong with that. I see a programming port on there too. Battery tray up front. Steering, front diff lock servo there. No, front diff lock servo, rear diff lock servo, shifter and steering. Now, another thing that's nice to let you know about the steering is it's Cross RC branded, 7.4 volt, 25 kilogram. Metal geared waterproof servo, plastic case. Everything's waterproof, which is beautiful. Nice alloy cross members, ladder steel C-channel chassis. And if you've been watching my channel and you've seen my short, or if you're looking closely here, you might see something that looks a little bit different. Here's the 240-year development. Patented in 1874 is the Watts linkage. Now this is kind of like a sway bar. The original Watts linkage patent, I had a look at it, allows vertical movement. This is just a pivot point, but you'll see as this side goes in, it draws the other side in. It doesn't allow lateral movement. I understand from a few commenters, Scotty Rutherford comes to mind, saying, why is that there when you've got 4 links? Good question. It's probably technically not needed, but I got to think it makes some difference with the sway bar setup. It doesn't at all impede the back and forth. If you had a more traditional sway bar, although doing this does draw the other side down, even on a live axle, it does seem to limit the articulation. This seems to be unimpeded. What's interesting also is that the bottom one is so much closer to the fulcrum point than the top. It's an interesting design. Will it help? I don't know. I suspect it's going to contribute to stability at speed, but it's probably going to make no difference for crawling. That's okay. It's certainly interesting. Gosh, the other nice thing about this is the size of the diffs and the portals. It's just big. Everything's just chunky. Everything's unnecessarily large. That's something I quite appreciate about this car. Metal CVDs with the plastic shafts. I don't know how long they are in the middle, but I expect they're going to be pretty tough. There's not much bend to them, so that's a good sign. I see stainless steel ball ends in each of the links. And there's an alloy steering horn as well, servo horn. Plenty of room for a battery up front. It'll take 2S or 3S. I think we should just get this thing driving and see. Oh, now one other thing to tell you is these wheels, I'm not familiar with the Cross RC talons. It feels like single stage foam in there. There is give, but it's also quite firm. Very sticky grabby rubber and big lugs. These are probably going to excel on the trail, and they're probably not going to be quite so good for crawling. But every OEM Cross RC tyre I've tested so far that's not a military spec, and even the mil spec ones honestly, they crawl really well. Comes with a manual, which is good enough to build the entire car. Also comes with an impressive sticker sheet, electronics guidance, more stickers, which is mostly applied to the body at this point, more stickers, a full set of drivers. I don't have them here, 1.5 mil, 2 mil and 2.5 mil, quality drivers they are. This Cross RC cap, and a Cross RC lanyard, which I attached to the radio, and we didn't cover the radio. Let's do that real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 channel radio, made by Dumbo RC, 4 double layers, comfortable in the hand, but here's the kicker that I really like, it's clearly marked. Look at this, channel 3, front diff lock. When it's lit up, it's on. Here, I'll show you. Battery level indicator. When it's locked, it's lit up. When it's unlocked, it's unlit. Rear, channel 4, locked, unlocked. Lights. You cycle through this. And then there's high and low speed. Gosh, that's great. I love how obvious it is. You know, something that bugs me in some of my crawlers is, I don't know if it's locked or unlocked sometimes. Independent control, and it's lit up when it's locked. That's really clear. Beautiful. Dip switches to reverse channels, and you've got trim and endpoint just for steering and throttle. Basic radio, but combined with not needing to ever worry about adjusting endpoints for your shifter. See the big spring there? Ah, there's a spring as well. So there are two clever things in here. I actually forgot all about this when I had the lid off. This shifter is a spring, doesn't need adjustment. High and low is just actuated with where the wheel turns out and in. And these guys are fully adjustable. There's slack in the system and then it relaxes. So 100% always on these, and if you want to tune it, you just loosen that grub screw and pull the cable out if you need to. You shouldn't need to out of the box. Oh, this is just nice. This is just so nice. And look, this is getting exciting now. See this is the watts linkage you can see from the top. One side goes up, see how it draws the other side in? Same with that. Oh, this is fun. It's fun. Right, battery. Let's see. Power's on. I've got a 3S battery today. Now, if you want more technical detail about any of this while I do this, have a look at RC-TNT.com. I've got a full write-up for this vehicle. I don't have write-ups for all my vehicles, but I've got write-ups for an awful lot. And you can search the site for any vehicle you want to read more about. I also have a FAQs in there. So if you have questions in here that need some photos to help explain, go to my website and I will have answers for you there. Now this is where the body clips on, so we'll do that. Oh, you know what? Let's just make sure everything's good. Front diff lock. Oh, sorry, that says rear. Front. Look at that. And then here's your shifter. It's a keen little fella. So we're unlocked. No, we're locked. That's first gear, second gear. Standard 1080 programming card does work with this, and we just tested those settings and they were successfully applied, so that is good news. You don't get the card out of the box. I suggest, having just looked at all the settings, that you're fine to leave it as is out of the box, but if you want to adjust the thing, hey, you can. Right, let's get the body on. Now you can remove that and have a bit more reach if you want. I think we'll get away with not doing that though. Carefully, carefully, carefully. Oh, that just pops on. Oh, I wish they were all like this. Yeah, look at that, all lined up and everything. Okay, that's the rear. Again, I love that there are no channels to worry about on the side of the bodies. It just sat straight on. Not a problem in the world. Gee, I like that. If cars get fiddly to put together, like the RC4 Drive Galande, oh man, do not like. It actually makes me not want to play with that thing because it's such a pain, such a hassle to get it going. Alright, power is on. Let's have a look at these lights. So this is the first time I've powered this thing up myself. So this is exciting. Light button there. One press. That's the first press. Second press. Ooh. Third press. Fourth press. Fifth press. First, second. Well, I guess you're going to drive with the first most of the time, but the second one for night time, that's pretty sweet. Now, what about these tricky rears? Because I saw so many LEDs in here. So driving. Reverse, no reverse lights. So we're on the first press here, second press, third press, fourth press, fifth press. I would have liked to see some reverse lights, given they've gone to the trouble of putting so much effort into this. I may be motivated at some point to get white LEDs, run them from the motor channel, because LEDs are a diode. They won't work in one polarity, only the other, and I'll get them in here somehow. So when you reverse, you get white reverse. That would be cool. Anyway, let's drive this thing. Nice. Very stable. Wow. Tires with big lugs like this often do better on the trail than on crawling. And it's clear we need to turn the drag brake up as well. It just rolls back immediately. But at least we can adjust that, because that would be a problem for me personally. Oh, there it goes again, twice. If we had tougher drag brake, that wouldn't have been a problem. Unfortunately, it was a problem. I should probably go and turn it up. Now that's not the rate, but the strength. We want higher drag brake strength. Wow, look, it is very poised. I'll certainly say that. Very stable. Ample power too, which is not something you could say about the stock Marksman. That thing was sorely lacking. I don't know what they were thinking with that little tiny servo, but this one has the same rating as that one on paper, but it actually lives up to its rating. It's, well, in my opinion, it's certainly strong. There we go. Stayed on the throttle that time. I'm still actually on, so we don't roll back. Oh dear. We're not necessarily measuring anything here, we're just getting a feel for the rig. Given that this truck dwarfs the problems, it's causing issues for it that just aren't a consideration for smaller rigs. So that's part of why this is imperfect. It's a pretty car, this. Alright. I'm also trying a new camera here today. I'm not sure if I like it yet. Alright. Yeah, that drag brake wants to be on more firmly. Ah, couldn't save it. Oh dear. I can't wait to get this out with some friends though. This and the Marksman, I think. Oh yep, there we go. There we don't go. Tell you one thing that might be interesting is just to unlock. That sounds like it won't help, and it may not, but we've got metal gears all through. I'm not worried about breaking anything. Or maybe locking the front actually. Just the reason I'm doing that is I want to see that rear come around a little bit, and it's easier when the rear's unlocked. But we might not be getting there. We're just gonna scratch up the pretty body, which is not what I want. I like this car though. I've actually had a smile on my face the whole time I've been driving. Ooh, the tyres really distorted then too. And I'll tell you something else. There's no fade in this servo. No fade at all. Excellent. I'll just lock the rear. It's a loud servo. Very positive engagement. There we go. Now we're resting on the diff there. There we go. Unconventional, but couldn't have come up that way with a smaller scale car. This is a vehicle to buy if you want a trails car. Don't buy it if you're after a dedicated crawler. There are better choices. But these lovely, huge, chunky tyres, tough drivetrain, fun lights, super smooth transmission and shifting, and thankfully adjustable ESC add up to a very enjoyable drive on the trails. And it's still not frustrating on the rocks, it just clearly has limitations. That's alright. Oh yeah. And look, its size got it past. If this was a 110 scale, it wouldn't have gotten this far. The AT4 is an excellent crawler, and I think it did all 6 problems, but that's a 110 on a 110 scale track. So we're not really testing this thing, just getting a feel for it. It's actually a little bit disorienting being so large because these problems feel so much bigger with a smaller car. Wow, this servo is not fading, hi. It's very impressive. I understand this can be had as a kit as well. I couldn't find it for sale as a kit, but the spec is on their website. In this case, I think they've actually chosen the RTR equipment very well. Unless you had really specific brushless intentions for this thing, the default equipment is actually quite good. I'm actually wrecking the course here. We're a bit stuck. She's too long for the problem. Whoa. Let's just see if it can climb the end of 6. Now, I said this before, my experience with big tyres, big lugs on tyres like this, is such that on trails they usually do well, but on rocks they don't. But balancing that is Cross RC's exceptional choice of rubber compound. Just trying to convince it up over this. Problem is that back left wheel's way too far around. And the quality rubber compound covers for the shortcomings caused by big lugs on rocks. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? But bigger lugs on rock crawling tyres don't tend to do as well as smaller siped tread pattern. This poor car, I'm really punishing it. How many cars have been punished here out of the box? They didn't know what they were getting into when they came to my place. Poor little car. Well, poor big car. Now, one thing I haven't answered is this question of the... what's a good place to demonstrate it? the question of the Watts linkage. Certainly it is stable under speed. We found that just driving around just before. It really was. I'm just trying to answer whether it's still the case on crawling. I don't know that it makes any difference on crawling. Oh, it's so pretty though. Wow. I don't think we're actually learning anything here, but we're just having fun. Oh, this is a hoot. Brilliant. Honestly, today's been a good day. I've gotten to play with two exceptional cars on the trail. This and the RGT Rescuer. Video for that is there. Oh boy, these are both really fun cars. Let's wrap this up. And that is the Cross RC EMO X. I really like this. It's kind of like a mix between the SCX6 and a TRX4 with those lockers as well. It's so smooth. These wheels are beautiful. Yeah, this is a great car. I've got a link in the description to an article I have on this if you want more information at RC-TNT.com. I'm not sure how to link where to get it because different markets around the world have different places. I actually got this from my favorite AliExpress seller and I can link them down below. And I'll also link Cross RC USA. This is completely not a sponsored video. Bought this one, paid full price myself. I don't actually do that all that often on this channel. I do try and work out a way to find some kind of symbiosis because running a channel is not cheap. But paying full price for this fella was worth it in my opinion. What do you reckon? Thanks for joining me for this one, guys. Please throw me a like, tell your friends about me, and I'll catch you next time on RC-TNT. Thank you for watching.